So we're trying to factor 3x squared minus 14x minus 24 into something called linear factors. So the process I would do, and this is only one method, is first you look, is there a GCF? So when I look at this, they all don't have an x. And then I think about 3 and 14. The biggest number that could go into 3 and 14 is 3. So does 3 go into 3? Yes. Does 3 go into 14? No. So this has no GCF. From there, we're still going to make that factor x I taught you about. So what goes on top now is negative 24 times 3. So I have to think to myself, what is negative 24 times 3? It would be 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 6 plus 1, negative 72. So I'm going to put negative 72 up here. That's negative 24 times 3. Now what goes on bottom is your middle term, just like before. So I'm going to put negative 14 here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to find two numbers that multiply to negative 72, but add to negative 14. So I'll start thinking about negative 72. And then I remember the only way to get a negative number when you multiply is if one is negative and one is positive. So I'll start with 1. 1 times negative 72. 1 times negative 72 is negative 72. 2 times negative 36. From there, let me think about 3. What's negative 72 divided by 3? Negative 24. And then what's negative 72 divided by 4? Negative 18. What's negative 72 divided by 5? That's negative 14.4. So we're not going to use 5. 6. Negative 72 divided by 6? Negative 12. And we're going to keep going until these numbers, until this number, absolute value, gets bigger than this number. Negative 72 divided by 7. Negative 10.2857, so not that one. Negative 72 divided by 8. It's negative 9. And then from there, it's going to go 9 to 12, 18, 24, 36, 72. Okay, so there's no point, once these numbers are pretty much the same, there's no point in continuing. But which one of those add to negative 14? Well, let's go through and add them. Let's see, those two in an atom is negative 71. Those two in an atom is negative 34. Those two in an atom is negative 21. Those in an atom is negative 14. So that's the combination I wanted. And by all means, if you're able to do multiplication in your head fast, you don't have to list out all the options. I just listed it to help show you how to think through this logically. So I'm going to put 4, negative 18 here. 4 times negative 18 is negative 72. 4 plus negative 18 is negative 14. Now from here, here's how it's different. Normally, you would do x with the 4, x with the minus 18. But that's not going to work because x times x is x squared. We need 3x squared. So there's this rule, and I didn't used to teach it this way, but I found that For most kids, it's the way that seems to work the best. So at the end, there's one more step. You take this number, and you divide your constants by that number. And then this is what I call a trick in math. This trick works, but mathematically it may not make much sense to you. And so the procedure here is if it reduces, you reduce it. If it doesn't reduce, then you slide. So like for this one, 4/3 does not reduce, so I slide the 3 to the front. And I get 3 x plus 4. Here, 18 divided by 3 does reduce. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So I get x minus 6. So this is what we call a factored form. So it's factored. If I want to check my work, I could distribute 3x times x, 3x squared. 4 times negative 6, negative 24. And then to check the middle terms, that'd be 4x minus 18x would be negative 14x. Another way you could check your work is to type this in Desmos. So the original problem was this. I have to use lowercase x, which looks like that. That's called standard form. So standard form says it has a y-intercept of negative 24. Positive 3 means it opens up. So if I type in what I think it is, this is called factored form. So far, see how that's a line? That's why we call it a linear factor. Because 3x plus 4 makes a line. So it's called a linear factor. But you put two linear factors together, you get a quadratic. And notice, they are the same thing. They're on top of each other. They tell us different information. This tells us that the x-intercept is negative 4/3. Negative 4/3, same thing as negative 1.3333. And this tells us the other x-intercept is 6, which look, it's 6. So they tell us different information.